Hello, my name is Alex, and welcome to Eclectic Eccentrics, a series in which we will be looking at some marvellous and some not so marvellous individuals who have been described as eccentric somewhere along the way. Their stories might delight, terrify, or intrigue you, but they will always entertain. Hello! Fancy seeing you here. The pleasure is all mine. Our subject today has been described as a painter, a novelist, and a composer. An all-round entertainer known for his eccentric behaviour, Lord Berners was certainly a fascinating individual. Gerald Hugh Tyrwhitt Wilson, 14th Baron Berners, better known as Lord Berners, was born on the 18th of September 1883 to parents the Honourable Hugh Tyrwhitt and his wife Julia. It appears he had a difficult childhood and was predominantly raised by his very religious and self-righteous grandmother. The family were part of a long line of nobles and appeared to have little time for those in the lower social classes. Berners wrote later in his life, "My father was worldly, cynical, intolerant of any kind of inferiority, reserved and self-possessed. My mother was unworldly, naive, impulsive and undecided, and in my father's presence she was always at her worst." From a young age, Berners demonstrated an interest in the arts, but was perceived as a shy child who demonstrated qualities which were deemed by his family to be effeminate. His mother attempted to get him to focus on more masculine traits, which did not suit Berners' personality at all. His eccentricities were clear from an early age, and it is reported that, having heard you could teach a dog to swim by throwing them into some water, he reasoned therefore you could teach a dog to fly by throwing the poor thing out of a window. The dog was unharmed, luckily, but as punishment, Berners was beaten and locked in a cupboard. However, evidently young Berners was not one to take punishment lying down, and quickly sought retribution. He did this by locking all the bathroom doors in his parents' house, and then tossed the keys into a pond. Educated at Eton, Berners later attempted to join the Foreign Office, but twice failed the entry exams. Not all was lost, however, as given his fluency in the German and Italian languages, he served as an honorary attaché, initially in what was then Constantinople. He was later sent to Rome and served in the country until succeeding his peerage. It was in 1918 that Berners inherited the title of Baron following his uncle's death. As well as the title, Berners also inherited a sum of money and a property called Farringdon House in Farringdon, Oxfordshire. As most 35-year-olds in his position would do after inheriting such a property, Berners resigned from the Foreign Office and retired. Hoorah! Initially, however, he did not live in Farringdon House, but rather gave it to his mother and her then second husband. Berners, on the other hand, lived a lavish, flamboyant life in London, and over in Italy, where he had another property, of course. It was only in 1931, following the death of his mother, that Berners moved into Farringdon himself. It can be argued that it is here when his eccentricities really began to flourish. A man of many talents, following an overhaul of Farringdon House, where he transformed it from comfortable to elegant English country house, Berners pursued his interests in writing, composing, and painting. His work with a paintbrush was not just limited to canvas, however, as he was known to dye the pigeons at his house a range of vibrant colours. The colour of the dye was not random either, for you see, Berners enjoyed arranging colour-coordinated mills. For example, one of his pals, Stravinsky, recalled that, if Lord Berners' mood was pink, lunch might consist of beet soup, lobster, tomatoes, strawberries, with pink pigeons flying outside. Speaking of wining and dining, Berners also entertained a host of interesting and influential individuals, including the artist Salvador Dali. It wasn't just people that Berners invited round for tea, as he also invited round a friend's Arabian stallion called Maury. The horse was in good company, however, as Berners also had a pet giraffe. Never one for the ordinary, it seems, Berners also owned a beer mug, which played the national anthem when lifted, although I cannot ascertain whether the horse ever had a drink out of it. Berners was not above having a little fun at another's expense, however. For example, on one occasion he decided to play a little trick on a well-known decorator and socialite, Lady Sybil Colfax. After sending her an invite to a dinner party, which, he alleged, was going to be attended by some famous faces, including Winston Churchill, he purposely made his name and address illegible. It is not clear whether he did this out of malice, or simply because he just thought it'd be a funny prank. Although his home was transformed into an elegant country house, Berners did not allow it to stifle him, or his personality. From the paper flowers in the garden, to the joke books and humorous signs which adorned the interior of his home, Berners clearly enjoyed making his guests' experience a unique one. As writer Patrick Fermor once recalled, "No dogs admitted, at the top of the stairs, and prepare to meet thy God, painted inside a wardrobe. When people complimented him on his delicious peaches, he would say, 'Yes, they are ham-fed.' And he used to put Woolworth pearl necklaces round his dogs' necks. And when a guest, rather perturbed, ran up saying, 'Fido has lost his necklace,' G said, 'Oh dear, I'll have to get another out of the safe.'" This mischievous fun was not confined to just the home, however. Berners' vehicle, a Rolls-Royce of course, had a clavichord keyboard stowed under the front seat, and he was known to drive about town wearing a pig head mask in an attempt to scare the local population. In terms of relationships, Berners fell in love with a chap called Robert "Mad Boy" Herbert Percy, a man 28 years Berners' junior. A seemingly happy relationship, though they lived together for over 2 decades at Farringdon House. To mark Mad Boy's 21st birthday in 1935, Berners had a Folly built, though Mad Boy later said he would have preferred a horse. Berners did say that the Folly was completely pointless, but that was what made it so great. At the bottom of this Folly, a sign was erected by Berners, which read, "Members of the public committing suicide from this tower do so at their own risk." In 1950, Gerald Hugh Tyrwhitt Wilson, Lord Berners, died, aged 65, leaving the house to Herbert Percy, who lived there until his death in 1987. Berners' ashes are buried in the ground at Farringdon House. Berners did, before his passing, as he couldn't have written it after of course, write his own epitaph, which reads, "Here lies Lord Berners, one of the learners. His great love of learning may earn him a burning, but, praise the Lord, he seldom was bored." It is probably reflective of Berners' character that the doctor who treated him just before his death refused any payment of any kind, stating that Berners' company had been more than enough. So there we have it. Lord Berners, the man who loved colourful pigeons and inviting horses to tea. No doubt an interesting character who liked to bring a bit of vibrancy to life. Who can blame him? Thank you very much for tuning in to episode 2 of Eclectic Eccentrics, and I will talk to you at the next one. Goodbye.